whichever ones. We have each one of you talk a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So my name is Wyatt Kettle. I and these two gentlemen on my left, we started a group called Voters for Effective Environmental Policy, and we were very thoughtful about coming up with that name. It's unfortunate the acronym kind of coincides with some issues about the vice president, but that aside. And we're all for saving the environment. I feel that the people of Corvallis are more environmentally conscious than many cities around the country. I know for a fact that the education level of Corvallis, on average, is higher than a lot of cities, just because of this large company called HP here and the relatively small population. And before I go any further, I wanted to congratulate Biff on his courage for showing up at such a tough So, there was a couple of points. So Biff mentioned that the Northwest Grocers Association came in and presented evidence why they should put a 5-cent fee on the paper bags. Does anybody know how many stores in Corvallis?
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Okay. Does anybody know how many stores in Corvallis are members of the Northwest Grocers Association? There's 3. There were 4, but Albertsons went away. So one is
4 stores, but 3
What?
brands.
One is not surprisingly Fred Meyer. There's Winco and there's Safeway. That's it. And so it was a spokesperson from Fred Meyer that came and spoke in front of council and suggested they wouldn't support a ban that didn't apply a 5-cent fee on paper. The reason they had that justification is because their experience in Portland, when the ban went in place in Portland, they found that customers just shifted to paper bags, which are less environmentally friendly on the whole when you look at the big picture than the plastic bags were. So they decided we need to modify behavior. To me, that's an admission that if people won't modify their behavior without a fee, there's no justification for banning the plastic to begin with versus just applying a fee to paper and plastic and then let people choose. The idea is that the fee was what was required to modify behavior. Personally, I disagree with that. I think you should encourage people to do the right thing. Over to the generations, we train our children to behave differently as we understand our world differently. So then the public also addressed the public support that the council had. The overwhelming responses to the city council were, as you all know, from the Sierra Club. The Sierra Club issued an action alert and spammed the city council with robo emails that were canned form letters. And if you subtract those out of the emails in support of the ban, the number of people that just on their own independently wrote messages to the council was the vast majority saying, we don't want this ban. It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know if you know who Hilux Poly is. They're the ones that make most of these grocery bags in the United States. They make them from natural gas.
Right.
Even the city council said on public record that we're saving oil by not using these plastic bags.
Yep.
No research.
They can be made from oil, they can, but it's the byproduct of ethylene gas that is reconcentrated during the refining process. It's easier just to make it from natural gas. The studies that were done by the city council, I can't say that I'm impressed with. I'm an engineer, and scientific data to support action here in Corvallis, and I'm glad several people already pointed this out. I feel it should study Corvallis.
Exactly.
I'm not aware of this massive litter problem, and that's a quote on public record, spoken by Deborah Sudica. And where's this massive litter problem? I don't see it. If we don't have the litter problem, what wildlife was being injured? Personally, I wasn't throwing my plastic bags into the landfill. I wasn't letting them escape into the environment. There are occasional accidents. Things blow out of back of vehicles all the time. But every national study that's ever been done on litter shows that it's roughly 0.6% of all the litter they pick up on the roadside. And this is from organizations like Keep America Beautiful. The plastic grocery bags are a small portion of it. They're just some of the most visible items because they're lighter and they blow up in the trees. But pay attention, next time you drive down the freeway, you'll notice that there's a lot of garbage bags on the side of the road. And those are misidentified. I'm not saying we shouldn't do something to improve what we do with our plastic bags. I don't feel it's correct to enforce a behavior on a population against their will.
Thank you.
So, let's see. I'm fumbling through some ideas here because members of the audience and our former speakers have covered a lot of this. So let's see, Sheriff Club. So the plastic bags, the grocery bags, they never break down. Is that true?
No.
The claim is, so if we use a little bit of logic, and plastic bags never break down. Okay, they break down some. They break down into little bits. The imagery that was used by the Surfrider Foundation and the Sierra Club, it shows birds trapped in plastic. Well, I have yet to see one picture that shows them trapped in a grocery bag. I've seen several with garbage bags. My point being that if you can't establish that there is a significant problem, how can you make the logical jump to say that, yes, we need to get rid of these because they are the problem without proving that it is the problem? Rather than ramble on, I'm sure I could vent for hours and hours. I will hand it over to Bruce.
We'll have all three of you speak and then answer, right?
That's a good approach.
Ideas and then they can answer at the
You
end.
did a good job, though.
What got me involved was, I got a free subscription to the GT, and it was 2 days after the passing of the ordinance, and I was quite stunned. I was one of these people that didn't believe something like this would get passed by the city council. So what I did is I sat down and I went through all the records, all the way back to the beginning. Everything that's on print from the city hall pertaining to the bag ordinance, and I was stunned. Okay. I found out that pretty much the city council had already decided on this ordinance. Okay. The surveys they took didn't include an option for no plastic bag ban. Okay. It only gave options for fees, and 3 different options, and I can't remember off the top of my head, because those kind of passed away along way back. But when Biff was talking about some of the research that was provided by the Sierra Club. And so in the early beginning, I got hit with all these arguments, and I was going, wow, maybe what they're saying has some legitimate basis. So they kept citing certain research reports, and so I went and read them. And what I found is that what they're saying isn't supported by their own research. Right? One of the big things that they say that is a primary reason for supporting the bag ban is that it kills hundreds of thousands of wildlife. And so if you look in their letters that they submitted to the city council and their brochures and flyers, it states plastic kills hundreds of thousands of animals and sea life. And that's a true statement. Plastic does, okay? Because the animals ingest it, it gets in their craws and stomachs, and it takes up space. And sometimes they starve to death. But it's put on a list for shopping bags, okay? And so it doesn't say plastic bits, small bits of plastic kill. It gives the impression that it's shopping bags. And that's kind of a theme that goes through all the research that is provided by Sierra Club, Environment Oregon, and Surfriders. It's basically come down to somewhat of a scam, a fraud.
Yeah, of course.
Because by using misinformation or giving the impression of something and not clarifying or rectifying it, it is called fraud. Okay? And so it's an intentional act by the Sierra Club and those organizations because it's very carefully worded. Okay? And it's across the board. So all three organizations are supporting it. They in turn went to the Northwest Grocers Association. Okay? And the reason I kind of noticed this move was that I had called the stores and asked questions about it, and bags and costs and things like that. And they had referred me to corporate headquarters, back east, Portland, and sometimes to the people who purchased the bags. And not once did they ever refer me to the Northwest Grocers Association. So I went through all the letters that Kent sent in to the city council. And I came across this one from Deborah Hisby, Sadaka, head of the Sierra Club, and said she had done some research and called the stores and they sent her to the Northwest Grocers Association. The Northwest Grocers Association then submitted the request for the fees. So when I got that, I'm going, how come she got sent to the Northwest Grocers Association when I did? You know, what was it that made this difference? So then I started questioning whether there was some kind of collusion going on here. Okay. And I'm a licensed therapist, and I have a tendency to try to start asking questions, you know, when my clients start saying certain statements. So I started looking at this whole process, and the Northwest Grocers Association stated they're working with Sierra Club and Environment Orient, and that together they wrote this fee to encourage the reduction of the use of paper bags. Okay. So I'm kind of looking at this and I'm going, they went before the city council and the questions before the city council were pretty good. Do you make a profit off of this? Do you already charge for the bags? Yes, to both questions. Okay. So